Hi.
Good to see you.
Hello. Okay.
I'll start with the introduction of the chapter and some of our guests, and we'll take it from there, guys, okay? Thank you. Perfect. So, super excited today. Chapter 3, great milestone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Master of Science in Computational and Advanced Design program accredited by the UACEG. The program pushes the boundaries of design and transcends through a multitude of design skills while advancing the students' design and software capabilities immensely. It's organized into 5 leading design chapters and 5 supporting technical and theoretical labs that span over 9 months. And today we're reviewing Chapter 3, Amalgamation. As I introduce this review, we'll zoom around the work in progress mirror board boards to display the incredible amount of work that the students have explored. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude, of course, to our favorite students so that they're really working hard and they're creating some really incredible designs, and our educational team for their efforts as well. Our core leads, Eva Hefe, Setuna Engen, which are always by the student side, my peers, Katerina Georgieva, Michael Pryor, and of course, our chapter leads, Victor Klassen and Laura Mario Gonzalez. And amongst our new guests today, we'll have some of our returning guest crits from past chapters, and we're very, very thankful to everyone's support and time today. So we have today with us Eric Goldenberg, co-founder of Monad Studio, Sulafa Buras, architectural designer for 3 from Populous, Wissam Patel, robotics fabrication lab manager at NYIT, Megan York, 3D footwear designer at Nike, Walter Smith, founder of Education Lab, as well as our Master of Science alumni from the first year, RJ Waver, adjunct instructor at Virginia Tech and the Master of Science alumni, and one more of our alumni we have with us today, Fatma Farag, who is a faculty of the American University of Cairo, and we are very thankful for everyone's time today and for joining us. I'm just going to say a couple of words about Chapter 3 to level set. The aim of Chapter 3 is to explore how habitats bring togetherness and create communities and clusters. It examines the idea of what makes a community and why the prostheses developed in Chapter 1 feel the need to live together under a scenario that each team of students has developed. The students are tasked with not just creating a final design of their envisioned community, but also developing a process and reasoning behind it, allowing for a multitude of forms and creations based on parameters that the students set. As part of this, they're introduced to different non-destructive and reversible design workflows using primarily Blender and Grasshopper. So important points to keep in mind for this review. This is not an architectural master's, but a program focused on envisioning a pure possible future. We are reviewing a community level design that has emerged from the students' work on chapters 1 and 2, and we're working with habitats. The next chapter is going to be based around mobility. And we're looking at multiple units today, which are part of a bigger design aggregation. Please keep in mind that presentations should be contained within 7 minutes and reviews will have to be no more than 7 minutes for each team. Eva and Tung will help us keep time, and feel free to take photos and screenshots and share the work on social media. Without further ado, I hand it to the first team.
My teammate is having a power cut. So can we wait for a minute? He's restarting his PC now.
Oh, yes, but if you like, also we can go to the next team and return to you guys. That's fine also.
Did he appear? He didn't appear. I'm asking him. Is he ready? Just a second.
Sorry, I got the power cut at the most optimal time ever.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
here.
Where would you get it?
Yeah, you save it for when it like really matters.
Right.
Yep. See.
Perfect.
And here we go. Screen sharing and everything is good?
Mhm.
Perfect. So, hello everyone. We are Team A3. My name is Eric.
And I'm Anastasia. We are both architects, and today we are excited to present our work, Valtaris, on Chapter 3, Amalgamation.
In a final broadcast to the universe, the Voltaires sent a digital time capsule out amongst the stars, documenting their world, life, and achievements. The Voltaires' home planet, Dieterra, is described as a world divided by a glowing ring of plasma.
The plasma ring erupting from the planet's core not only gave life to the Voltaires, but also endowed them with the consciousness. The digital capsule preserves schematics of the Voltaires exaframes, mechanical shells powered by plasma energy, featuring a biological vessel at their core and a symbiotic pet as integrated extension.
At the heart of their civilization was the corpuscle, a modular self-sustaining hub. It housed plasma processing units, repair stations, and communal spaces. But the capsule also carries a dire warning. An alien object crashed into their world, releasing a black plague that consumed half their planet, held back only by the plasma ring's immense energy.
Driven by curiosity, the Voltaires breached the ring to study the plague, unleashing disaster as it spread across the planet. Ultimately, their civilization was consumed, leaving only darkness. Their final plea is clear: remember us, but leave the Dieterra's mysteries undisturbed.
Time capsule also contains records of their remarkable cities, living, breathing testaments to their technological and architectural evolution. Deep within the rugged canyons of Dieterra, the Voltaires race established their settlements. These sheltered ravines provide the much-needed shelter from the planet's harsh environment.
Dieterra's crust is metallic ore. Its terrain, mountains and channels, is shaped by its plasma-radiating core. Subterranean plasma rivers born from the core's energy flow deep underground. Canyons host extreme thermal contrasts, veiling depths in perpetual mist. These plasma rivers surface in crevices and grant the Voltaires direct access to raw energy, around which their cities are built.
The earliest settlements formed at the base of the canyons, rising as pillar-like structures focused solely on plasma extraction. As the population grew, more workshops, energy storage, and processing units were integrated. Over time, larger structural columns emerged, reinforced with massive beams. Bridges began to span the canyon, connecting settlements that had once been isolated.
Eventually, expansion moved vertically and horizontally. At the surface, the ground towers marked the final stage of the development.
The Voltaires settlements were built using 5 levels of modular components, each serving a distinct function. The main structures were the primary load-bearing frameworks. The multifunctional modules were adaptable units that expanded to integrate with other sectors. The industrial structures were the core of production and energy processing, while the civic spaces had public areas for research, governance, and social interaction, while the spires were tall towers housing communication hubs, sensors, and aerial docking stations.
These components combine into several distinctive functions in the settlement. Plasma extraction wells were the first structures built. These wells reach deep into the fissure to siphon raw plasma from beneath the planet's crust. Massive energy storage banks regulate and stabilize plasma, converting it into usable power. The multi-purpose manufacturing facilities produce everything from structural components to Voltaris frame parts.
The bioorganic laboratories study and grow the symbiotic biological life forms within the Voltaris frames. The multi-tiered living and outside spaces in the upper city features residential zones, terraces, and communal platforms. The vertical communications and surveying structures are towering spires that monitor environmental changes and maintain links between settlements. The autonomous propulsion platforms can hover in place to create walkable connections.
Like any civilization, the Voltaris required communal spaces. They fell into three primary categories. First category, functional hubs. Positioned between major structural columns, these hubs acted as vital transition points, connecting different levels of the settlement. More than simple passageways, they were dynamic circulation centers, equipped with adaptive bridges and levitating pathways that shifted based on the traffic flow. Plasma-driven transport docks allowed aerial capsules to pause momentarily before continuing their routes. They also provided spaces for brief reprieve, quiet alcoves where individuals could observe the plasma currents coursing through the city's infrastructure.
And the second category, communal sanctuaries. In contrast to the ceaseless activity of the hubs, the sanctuaries were spaces for contemplation and intellectual discourse. These sanctuaries provided insulation from external disturbances, allowing the Voltaris to engage in uninterrupted thought and discussion.
In the third category, elevated terraces and aerial promenades. Suspended high above the industrial tiers, these terraces offered a rare openness amid the settlement's dense structures. They functioned as social gathering points, allowing Voltaris to experience their environment beyond the confined depths of the ravine. From these vantage points, the distant glow of the settlements could be seen, their plasma-lit silhouettes pulsing in the dark expanse. The terraces also served a functional purpose, integrating aerial docking stations for transport units, allowing direct access between different sectors.
This amalgamation was a monument to the Voltaris ingenuity, a thriving high-tech metropolis seamlessly integrated into the hostile landscapes of Diaterra. It was more than a city, a living chronicle of their past, present, and future, illuminated by the very energy that defined their existence. But as the calamity that ended their civilization swept across the planet, the settlements went dark and silent one by one. God, it doesn't. I'll pan over. Now there's nothing left but a hollow shell of their former glory. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Pure perfection. Love everything you've done in this chapter. Thank you so much for the hard work and for all the visuals you've created and systematic work. Like, it's really, really beautiful work that you've achieved. And you always go above and beyond, and I really appreciate that, team. Can't wait for the next chapter. Let's see where those prostheses are, how are they going to be moving faster?
Hello, everyone. This is Love speaking. Sorry, my voice is not cooperating today. Amazing work. I really love the visuals. Are we commenting on the students' work after each presentation, Pavlina? Or yes?
Yeah.
Okay, then. First of all, it's like really mind-blowing how the whole chapter or the whole curriculum is built. It feels like there's no limit, imagination. So I found this really, really exciting. And I really want to commend you on the level of graphics. It's insane. It feels like coming from a Star Wars movie. So really highly detailed, very highly detailed visuals, and which which complement the story, right? Like you're talking about the story, and I'm just, especially this one, maybe because architecturally this appealed to me the most, remind me of, our own work that we did at the AA with the aggregation of cells. So this really very highly thought architecturally, in that specific visual, and even like how the communities would come. But I would like, my first question is, what's the driver when you're thinking of those colonies or those communities that you're building? What was the driver to come up with this story, and maybe in the first place?
Maybe the planet, because the whole story is based. Yeah, the planet itself, it's very unique. So it's like it consists of two hemispheres divided by a ring, which is created by the core. The core radiates that plasma. So that plasma, it's like energy thing. It gives it gave birth to the prosthesis, to Voltaris. It gives also energy to rule the whole city, fuel the whole, I would say it's civilization. So yeah, I think it's the main thing here.
It's sort of discovering how this little, because like this is the actual creature. This little like glowing thing is just an energy pattern that is sentient, and everything around it is just built to stabilize and enhance their existence.
Nice.
So,
and what made you go in a direction where you preferred, like, that the civilization would end?
It's
Is there like a next chapter? Is this meant to like evolve along the course? Yes.
Maybe I personally find it really intriguing with like science fiction doom stories. The sort of like the end of our concept lab presentation where we have this pending, do you want to go there or not? There's something human about it.
Yeah.
Like, do you as the reader going to fall into the same trap as these creatures we are telling the story of? It leaves it open.
There was also a second idea. The second idea that we dropped eventually. The second idea was that they left their planet because it was consumed by a plague, but they met people, human, who were traveling through the space, and they consumed their brains, like their consciousness, because they can't survive in form of floating energy. They need a body. They need something. And this is how they could continue their lives. But we dropped that idea and decided to kill the whole civilization.
Yeah.
So love to answer one of your questions is this is the chapter 3 out of 5. So basically, like the teams have created a prosthesis, like we call it the prosthesis, is basically like an embodiment, a creature. And then like they create the dwelling around this creature. And the next phase is chapter 3, which we're reviewing today. So it's the amalgamation, the community that these spaces create. So in the next chapter that we're connecting into, it's going to be mobility systems. So how do you really like explore the city or surroundings? And the students will be creating the vehicles as well as the systems themselves. And the last chapter, chapter 5, is cosmogony. So is the creation, the birth of a new world based on all these principles created through the 5 chapters.
Yeah.
So it's a very important link because it is placed in the middle, really, like of the program.
And they keep the same creature, so they continue the story. Right?
Yes.
So they're coming back, basically.
Yes, so they're building upon the story and the complexity, like through each chapter, and at the end, basically all presentations, all work that it's created during the academic year comes into one presentation, one big project, really.
Nice. Okay, that makes more sense. I think my final comment, like to guide the team, is that have some principles when you're building those visuals, maybe behavioral principles. Like maybe the next thing you guys think about now is because you're making up the rules, what are the behavioral rules you would like to implement for your creature as an individual and then as a community, and that would guide the architecture or guide the aggregation system and how you would like. And I'm not sure you want to go down what's the level to go down even down to personalities, but maybe go down maybe to different roles, and that would help because what I see here, the beautiful visuals, and I think the only one that had like really clear direction was that the smaller cell level, whereas when it comes more urban level, it feels it needs some more rules, how do they grow and what is really the system. So I think now, yeah, this is, I think, the most thoughtful of all of the renderings. Everything else seemed like could benefit from the thought behind what is really the system, how do I want to grow, and what is the behavioral elements that make, our creatures in this community, and that would guide the architecture. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that comment, actually, and I was thinking similarly, the word that came to mind for me was character. But so nice to see you guys again and to see where you ended up. Hello, hello.
You too.
It's beautiful. I'm glad you guys found a way to stop because with this team, it was always more, and changing the configurations, right? So maybe that idea of like what is the character of these different areas can help like guide and bring qualities to certain clusters. Like I think you guys did a wonderful job of identifying them, of developing, thinking about the composition. But I started to think about that show Silo. So it's like that Apple TV show where they've, humanity has kind of gone underground because the surface is uninhabitable. Anyways, when they go through all the levels, each level has a very different character, whether it be like the agriculture section or the sort of intellectual section, or down below in the mechanical energy producing section. Like there are certain qualities to those spaces that you can start to tease out in the renders. One question for me was actually, where did you guys end up with your public space, and what was the story behind that, right? Like that is one space that should have very defined characteristics. And I think to a certain degree, yeah, so it's that one. To a certain degree, it's great to see these moments. I wish we could maybe pick them up a little bit more from afar. Again, starting to see different stories play about. So I love that previous comment, and I agree. I mean, really incredible proposal, you guys. So much work, so much detail. I love that from far away, we get one sense, and then as we zoom in, I mean, there's like wet water and scratches on the materials. It's really well developed. But yeah, my question was about public space and where you guys ended up with that.
So we decided to have 3 types of public spaces. First is transitional hubs, I will say, a little bit higher. I think the first, no, lower.
It's this one.
Between
right?
columns, yes, this. They do not do anything right there on these passageways, but they it's public because they need the like communication path for them. The second time, the second category, it was the communal sanctuaries. Yes, this is more architectural. Yeah, this is more architectural public space. Again, they can spaces for contemplation and intellectual discourse, so they can like discuss anything there, do something there. And the third category is those levitating terraces with thrusters, I think go
Nice.
up.
Yeah, it's the one up here,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
This. They have actually 2 functions. They connect different sides of the city, and also it's a place where you can just gather and again discuss something, do something. Like that is public, like everyone can go there, but also you can go inside and outside. Yeah, the whole altar is there. If something's going on in the canyon, for example, they all can just stand there and see everything and see the whole city from the side.
So for me, it's like, right, it's like a great start, right? At sort of saying, okay, here are 3, but then I think you could say like, okay, for the meditation spaces, like, do they need a charge? Like, right, like how do they actually occupy or inhabit these spaces? And, you know, with time and detail, you guys got so far, so that's why I'm like nitpicking over here, but it's like, how do they engage these spaces differently, right? Like right now they are a piece that is, you know, kind of placed about, but like, yeah, for relaxation, like, do they have a different character? They're like stretching out, laying with each other. Like, you know, you can start to add in those details that show the specificity of your prosthesis as well in how they occupy or use the public space. All around, great job, you guys. Really, really wonderful.
Speaking about their behaviors, they do not meditate, they do not need rest, or they don't even have individual cells like apartments or something. Like they don't need it, but they do charge, and they do.
Yeah, I mean, you said they stole some consciousness from others. Like maybe that's where they go to steal more consciousness. I don't know.
Yes. But you missed the previous chapter. It was in previous chapter.
That's a great point that Lawrence Sulaf are bringing. So basically, like the soulfulness, like or activation of like each part of your spaces, and that like it's you know like a relevant comment for all projects, right? Like we're creating the amalgamations, we're creating the spaces. There are rules that we're adhering to, but then again, like what kind of specific spaces are you know like reflecting the need? It's basically like the you know the meat here, the most important part, because that's how you're activating really like the project, and that's how you're making it soulful, and that's how you're you know going one step further into making it like very unique and cater to that, right? Because people can start imagining what is happening in these spaces, and then you can add more and more details to them according to this specific functionality that won't match any other project, but only yours, right? Because again, even as humans, we have different types of communal spaces, but we have different needs or different, you know, like purposes that we visit them. So I think that again, like moving forward to next chapters and next presentations, I think that adding this element and thinking the story through even more and putting again like this lens, it's going to help you tremendously, like, you know, really bring all this like to, you know, like elevate the work really.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting themes we can explore when dealing with a being that is basically just a consciousness. There's no like physical needs as we understand them.
Hello guys, I think I take the time if there's still time left for feedback. Yeah, good job. Nice to see you again. I think you had a really clear path from the start, and I think it shows that you were able to perform also. I'm really happy with what I see. Especially I like the ones, let's say, where from afar, where you see the whole thing and how things come together, and it really shows like all the different directions also that you have. And I would have loved to see like a more close-up of one of these upper, I don't know, peaks, if you will. It feels like there could be a moment that, because it's not having any much of the background going, it's really like popping out. So I could have expected something happening there, because I also felt like I don't see the public space on first glance. But overall, you have so much detail and so much nice work that overall I'm really happy with how things turn out. Sometimes also thinking about the material with the black, that it loses some of the detail that you would want to show because it's just black, that I would have loved to maybe with some more color or different lighting. Actually, I think it's rendered nicely, but I have the feeling that there would be some opportunity to show more, or adding a little bit accent here and there. Yes, I think that's what I have to say. But overall, I'm really happy with how you guys managed overall. It felt like you were always in control. You knew what you were doing. So I was happy to see that, definitely, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Amazing project, great visuals, and as always, a great narrative and a storytelling. It's just not the project, but it's also how you present it, and you really present it in a very nice way, showing the diagram, showing the visual, showing the clusters. And I personally love your clusters and the catalog that you put up, and that showed up how the city came out to be in the end. So I think, yeah, great work. Congratulations, guys. Looking forward for the next chapter.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let us move on to the next team for the day. That's Kea and Lisa from A1.
Hey guys. That was awesome. I'm Lisa. I'm a 3D artist from Australia.
Kea, you're muted and nobody's sharing the screen. Just to let you know.
So sorry about that. I'm Kea. I'm based in Seattle and I have a background in environmental science. And Lisa and I teamed because we're both very passionate about biodesign and material ecology. So our project is inspired by both of those things. And we're excited to share with you the story of Petri dish E1027, told from the perspective of microbiologist Dr. Venning.
I was supposed to save coral reefs. That was the mission. We called it SCREAM, Symbiotic Coral Restoration via Engineered Microbial Consortia. A mouthful, but we liked the acronym. We were developing SCOBY-like biofilms designed to bind to heat-stressed corals like living bandages and inoculate them with thermally resilient symbionts. The mats would calcify over time, scaffolding skeletal repair beneath the polyps. Fermentation was to be the cure for an ocean boiling to death. Dish 027 was one of many. Just another pellicle floating in an anaerobic culture, metabolizing sugars into acids in our incubator rack. I checked its pH every morning, logged its growth rate, and moved on, until the day I noticed the glass. A hollow crystalline mass had erupted from the SCOBY surface, its spiny exterior twisting upward like coral reaching for light. I thought it was a contamination at first, lab error, a fault in the synthesis protocol. I logged it as a growth anomaly and left it to monitor. I should have destroyed it then. But I didn't. Curiosity stayed my hand. That and something else I couldn't name. A quiet beauty in that fragile limb of glass. Then I saw it. A tiny creature, spindly, floating inside the column's glossy shell. Its body was translucent, its legs filamentous like strands of silk. It drifted slowly, deliberately, as though it had always belonged there. E1, I labeled it, the first.
I called my colleagues over. We deployed the pipetting robot overnight to extract samples of the mutation. But when we returned the next day, we found the machine frozen mid-operation, crystalline growths climbing its nozzles like ivy. I watched the first habitation reef grow, orthogonal clusters of bulbous pods reaching towards the air in all directions. Wrapped by them like muscle around a bone emerged a large central tank. Suspended within it, a faintly pulsating fragment of the original SCOBY pellicle, breathing, metabolizing. E1 was no longer alone. More of the creatures appeared, nesting in the habitation reef interiors, hovering near the pellicle core like gentle caretakers, adjusting its position as though ensuring its comfort. I realized then, the city was not built around the SCOBY, it was built for it, or perhaps by it.
My team and I peered in, speechless, as the city expanded upwards and outwards, wrapping around the pipette nozzles and stretching across the petri dish. E1s multiplied, gliding from one building to the next with purposeful grace. At first, we thought they were flying, but no. Aerosolized micro droplets exhaled by the pellicle core saturated the glass interiors like a fine mist. I watched them drift, lifting gently off surfaces, limbs trailing, propelled by nothing visible. The air was their ocean, and they were swimming. New forms emerged. structural support struts, bridges, terraces, coils, and even skin-encased mating pods that hung like baby mobiles. We studied it obsessively, attempting to catalog the mutations, desperately searching for logic in how parts and clusters joined. To keep track of the structures, we began to give them names: initiation column, pellicle cove, habitation reefs, reproductive capsules, filter organ, public spaces followed.
Sorry, having a Miro issue.
The wiry transit vessels stretching between major nodes of travel, observatory, where the E1s gathered in quiet swarms, monitoring the hum of a world beyond their glass walls, the helical brood spires engulfing the pipette nozzles, where eggs clung like dew. We marveled. Just as the city had unfurled, so had a self-sustaining society. We couldn't have known what was to come. The electromagnetic disruptions began subtly. Light bulbs flickered. Sensors recalibrated without prompt. The readings were weak but persistent, all traceable to the incubator. The pipetting robot had been the first casualty, but as E1027 grew, so did the interference. Then came the power outage. For hours, 4 hours in the dark and cold. When I checked on the incubator, I expected damage, death, maybe. Instead, I saw something else. The city had changed. The structures, usually transparent, were now translucent, frosted over like milky stained glass. The scoby pellicle glowed dimly, its bioluminescent warm and faint, pulsing beneath the city. When the generator restored power, I adjusted the incubator's temperature to freezing. The structures blurred further, becoming nearly opaque. Fascinated, I pushed the temperature lower, -30 degrees Celsius. Immediately, the city hardened into alabaster shells, but the scoby's glow intensified. Heat radiated from the dish, bioluminescence sustaining the city like a heartbeat. The walls had sealed to trap the warmth, a thermal cocoon. The city was regulating itself. When the principal investigator ordered its destruction, I understood the rationale. E1027 was a deviation from Scream's objective. It interfered with our facility. It was unplanned, uncontrollable, but it was alive.
I stood before it that final night. E1s traversed their city, delicate limbs brushing the glass surfaces. They had no utility. They would never end coral die-off or reverse bleaching events. They simply existed. Was that not enough? I hovered my hand over the dish, the sterilizing agent ready, but I saw their bodies move away, gentle, coordinated, together, as if the city held its breath. My hand wavered. I dreamt that night, of the pellicle core's warmth, of light catching on frost glass towers. I dreamt I was among them, buoyed in the mist-thick air, my breath joining theirs. I was no longer observing. I was part of the current, one with the SCOBY. When I woke, I found myself standing before the incubator. Sometimes I still feel it in the lab, the faintest hum beneath the equipment. Sometimes I think I see something white drift at the edge of my vision. And sometimes I wonder, if I stepped inside that dish, if I let the glass grow over me, would I finally be free? I was supposed to save coral reefs, but perhaps I was the one waiting to be saved. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you, team. Beautiful work. Super exciting. I love how you're really like diving into the storyline and like showing so many different aspects of it. I'm really curious to hear a little bit more about like you have like like again like a very very complex ecosystem that you're presenting, and some of the new ideas that you might have about like again mobility, like what mobility might mean like for you for the next chapter if you've had the opportunity to think about it.
I can't say I've given too much thought to it because you guys have kept us very busy as is, but I did get pretty inspired by how we kind of hollowed out some of our parts and had the E1s kind of going through them kind of in a transit sense. Like, I wonder if they're being like vacuumed up somehow or if gravity is different. And the idea is that they're in these kind of glass shells. So it would have to be something very long that could fit through these tubes that connect everything. So I don't know, maybe like it works through vacuum technology or air pressure suction of somehow. Lisa, what do you think?
I like that. That's a really good idea that you've come up with just like on the spot.
It really was on the spot.
It's nice to see because like again, like when you're working through these amalgamations, obviously, like, you know, there are different aspects and you know, like wanting or not, there are some parts again like that you've already started establishing and connecting as you mentioned. So I was just curious, and I'm glad that you pointed out this system that you already incorporated.
Can I go next? Amazing work. I really like that. I mean, also the jump of scale from colonization that looks like on whole planets to a petri dish. So that's exciting. I think my first like comment would be, have you looked at like bacterial or microorganism, you know, behavior and how they would colonize and build a colony themselves? Or how did
Yes.
you guys come up with the like the growth of or the element, like when you say, because I see some are fluid, some are crystals. Like, is there do you have like a story behind like what is the actual elements or minerals that are, you know, guiding you through the growth process?
I think
The SCOBY is
have
probably the biggest material thing, right? As well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think everything comes from the SCOBY. And I had an idea that I didn't really include in this chapter's story, but the idea that this happened because there was some latent extremophile genetic material that was in this like SCOBY strain, because these are synthetic biologists and there can be catastrophic mistakes, especially if you're experimenting with genomics. So I am very inspired by by deep sea creatures and extremophiles. So I'm really not sure. I feel like there's so many directions it could go in terms of what the materials actually are. But yeah, I can't say that I have really like finalized where I'm at with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that I'm sorry again, I fighting a flu here. Um, but I think it will help you guide you guys if you find like you know, understand just of course it doesn't have to be like computation you all figured out, and you don't have to restrict yourself to, you know, complete it to reality. The imagination and what you can do with it here, and the visuals are amazingly striking in all of the work. But I think it will help, like, just to say, you know, similar to nature, there would be a fluid system. There's a understand crystallization processes, and crystals have very, you know, very, let's say, encoded structures, and that would help you maybe build your colony. And you understand, you know, this part would harden as you mentioned, like you wake up the next day and what was clear now is frosting. So maybe just pick a theme or an element that, you know, like a sand with crystal, but maybe water crystals in a different way, and how those two would react. And it's synthetic, you can make up a story, right? But I think it's important to have some guidance, and that would help you, you know, guide you basically how this thing is going to build and what maybe accelerators, right? What accelerates it, and suddenly it grows out of the petri dish altogether, maybe takes over. So that I think might be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a really cool idea. I will definitely look into that. We actually, the petri dish is kind of new for this chapter. So before it was, these were creatures all in a big glass tank. And so this is kind of like the evolution of our concept.
Right. That's it for me. Amazing work.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, then I jump in. Nice, great work, guys. Really nice storytelling. I think you did a great job there. I think you have a really unique environment, but also I love the spin with temperature that suddenly like gave you even more things to play with in the materiality. And I think that's also something you can really even expand upon in the next chapters. Does that also influence the way the infrastructure around and mobility is going on around this, the whole thing? And I love to see all these little things that we discussed early on with the hose and pipes and how they found their way to connect organically, naturally into the whole thing, into a working wholeness. So I think I really like where you guys took it. Yeah, good job.
Thanks, Victor. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful proposal, you guys, and I really appreciated the story. It reminded me of a recent conversation with somebody. They were studying slime mold is the kind of name that many of us recognize, and they said actually when they pour bleach into the petri, it does climb out. It tries to escape. So it is something that we see in the lab, which is soul crushing. And so I really loved you guys bringing in that aspect as part of the narrative, as well as like time, because biology has time and it changes over time. And so I also had ideas as well, or was thinking about, you know, what are the sort of waste or markers that these organisms were here, like maybe the more time that they spend in your structure, the more crystallized some of them become. And so I love this like opacity increasing over time that you guys were playing out. And I wonder if there are some other elements that visually could signal that, or like geometrically could start to signal that, because it was a little hard. I mean, maybe it's an interesting aspect, but it was hard to see the prosthesis as you were panning through.
Yeah.
Like they blend almost like incredibly well into their environment, but in that way, if you didn't catch them quick enough, it felt absence of life or absence of occupation, like these beautiful glass jewels that were, you know, sort of hanging. But I'm wondering if there are ways that you can emphasize their presence. You know, that could be done by rendering, but also through geometry, or through them leaving a marker of where they occupy more versus where they're more transitory. But again, just a really beautiful proposal. I love the way that you guys think about your design and the way that these organisms occupy space and sort of the ethics around it as well. So commend you on that.
Hey, thank you, Laura.
I really appreciate that, Crit. I think it's really hard when you have translucent creatures in a translucent environment. And I think the idea of leaving a mark is such a good idea, because they could be leaving fog or, I don't know, some sort of like prints. So I will definitely be writing that down and incorporating that.
One of the good also points like that you might think about the next chapter might help you navigate is that slime mode also navigates mazes, right? Like, so if you again like add like certain geometries, right, like that are human made or man made, let's say like in your next chapter, that you're trying to, let's say, like try to control the system, right? Like, and then, you know, like see like how then the whole ecosystem changes around that. So again, like you have like some very interesting scenarios like moving forward. But thank you, Laura, for sharing this about like the bleach. That was like a very, very interesting aspect that I personally didn't know about. Yeah.
So you have the opportunity to play with slime modes before chapter 5. So which is good because in chapter 5 we usually start like, yeah, we use nuclei, which was developed solely for slime modes, and so you have the opportunity to play with it spatially, not only in a 2D environment. So just have a look into that. And yeah, I agree with the comments. I think everything you made is beautiful. Just maybe I'm in the presentation, it lacks a little bit more on the technical side, like why you did certain decisions, how you create the structure, what were the rules, and how you managed to get to the final parts. But overall, I think you did a very good job and great storytelling. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for the Miro issues. I had to speed through some of the rule stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, just
I will
was
say.
gonna say that you had those rules in the rehearsal, and it just skipped out because, with the Miro thing that glitched in. But yeah, if you just wanna, take us through that and quickly show us,
Oh yeah,
feel free to, yeah.
sure. We just have, well, they're also on the projector, if you noticed, in our hero shot, because the scientists are studying them. But these are all of our deployment rules. So our manual clusters we call mutative clusters, and they were made using cloning and rotation, and sometimes randomness. And then these are our magnetic or WASP structures. And you can see I put the rules grammar on both of these for the connectivity. And then I showed how all of these different clusters come together with labels from the catalog over here. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, and incredible work on the presentation and the overall amalgamation. It is just beautiful. The catalog that you're using is so rhythmic and so beautiful in its way. And I feel like the comments that you're getting is justified because we are hardly able to spot the processes in there. So maybe that is something that could be worked on, and with a very good feedback from Laura that you just leave some traces, and that could be even brought into your vehicles when you do, when you are like transiting around the city. That could be something that can be evolved in. But I'm happy the way this concept evolved from chapter 2 to 3. It just like went ahead of its own time with the storytelling and even with the visuals that you are putting in. So I think, yeah, great work and great visuals. It's just like the process is a bit missing out. That's the only thing that I would say. But other than that, the rules are clear. Like it just didn't present because of the Miro, but I know it was very well thought of, very well put up there. So great work on that, and congratulations for the amazing work. And the color palette, that is so minimal and so cool to, just watch this presentation in such an awe.
Thanks, Eva.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Okay, so let's move on to the next team with David and Henry. That's A2.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Yeah, are we ready? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, guys. Welcome to the presentation of our project. Our project is called Cepherac. My name is David Ramirez. I am a mechanical engineer and a product designer based in Barcelona. And I'm Henry Van Herens. I'm also a product designer and a 3D artist. I'm based in Paris. And today we're going to tell you about our amalgamation through the eyes of one of its inhabitants, Gavor. I cling to the cold, decaying walls. My body is as frail as what surrounds me, a hollow shell dissolving into the organic spires of this forsaken vessel.
Once alive with energy and purpose, this place is now a tomb where silence presses down like forgotten memories. Yet, I remain, scavenging faint traces of energy that seep from the walls. When the last spark fades, I'll still be here, a whisper in the ruins of a dying world.
Among these ruins, I endure, a Gebor. My body is slender, and my exoskeleton barely maintains my existence. My veins glow faintly, pulsing with the scraps of energy I can scavenge. I survive because of my Osirisk. This spike creature clings to my back, its tendril attached painfully to my spine, feeding me the minimal power I need to endure. We are one.
Outside, under a sun that barely moves, lies Saturak, a vast expanse of white sands, a barren ocean stretched thin to infinity. The wind howls, carrying the remnants of a world gasping for breath. The bones of a forgotten civilization emerge from the dunes like jagged memories. Everything is fading, crumbling into dust.
From the void beyond, an unknown energy descends upon Setharak, a radiant, searing beam that pierces the landscape. It does not belong here, yet it's the only force sustaining life, a power of both creation and destruction. Every form of life is drawn to it. Creatures, structures, and even the land itself bends toward its radiance, seeking survival in a dying world.
But the beam is never fixed. It lingers for decades, embedding itself into the planet before suddenly shifting. When it moves, it does not retreat. It tears through the land and making what it once nourished. At first, the terrain is nothing but white dust, shifting like an endless ocean. But as the beam saturates the surface, the ground collapses, forming a vast crater that devours everything. Fissures split open, exposing ancient stone now seared and blackened by the energy's touch.
This is Mutkara, the seed, a living entity desperate for survival. Its organic mass shifts and reconfigures, extending new branches as it moves. As energy courses through its veins, Mutkara molds itself to accommodate this flow. It evolves in harmony with the desert, a sentient structure that refuses to be buried by the sands of time.
Mutkara's exoshell rises from the sand, mimicking the dunes, deflecting wind and heat. Its shifting surface provides camouflage and insulation. Beneath, semi-opaque walls filter sunlight into a dim glow, shifting spaces that offer protection and concealment. At its core, a life support system of glowing energy conduits pulses with the central reactor distributing power like lifeblood. To prevent overheating, heat dissipation channels vent excess energy, ensuring Mutkara does not collapse under its power.
Mutkara is the seed, drifting through the white sands deserts of Setharak, searching for the celestial energy that sustains it. When it reaches the beam, it transforms, anchoring itself as energy surges through its veins. Mutkara evolved into Kalisa, not built but grown from evolution. Kalisar does not form as a single entity. It expands in clusters, growing through the replication of Mutkara's biofragments. These fragments duplicate, mirror, divide, generating arrays of interconnected structures that evolve in response to the terrain. Each cluster adapts uniquely. Some structures become habitable, flexible living spaces that retract and expand like breathing organs. Others develop into protective shells, hardening with layers of exoshell to shield against Sephiroth's brutal storms.
This is Khalasar, the oasis, a living sanctuary where others gather dwell, bound to the energy that sustains them. Drawn to the celestial beam, it anchors itself into the dust, expanding in layers, its foundations burrowing deep, while its towering form rises to shield the core. Sprawling tendrils extend outward, creating pathways and dwelling that shift with the pulse of power flowing through them. More than a shelter, Khalasar is survival, adapting endlessly to the ever-changing rhythm of Satarak.
CALISAR awakens, its fragmented body converging at the source of energy. These towering structures house those capable of withstanding raw energy exposure, their bodies adapting to the intensity of the celestial pulse. As it expands, tendrils unfurl, branching outward from the hallways, weaving an interconnected network that pulses with the lifeblood energy.
CALISAR's living expanse unfolds through its 5 vital spaces, each serving a distinct function.
To sustain its inhabitants, CALISAR deploys its house units, massive living structures known as Rirath expanse, which cluster together, a dynamic habitat where dwellings and communal spaces breathe and shift. The structures retract from protection or expand into interconnected walkways, ensuring adaptability and survival.
In the sacred core of CALISAR, where the celestial beam is harnessed, is both a ceremonial shrine and a private enclave. This is where rituals are performed and the energy is channeled into the living veins.
Suspended above CALISAR, these open platforms serve as both an observatory deck and a deployment bay for aerial vehicles. From here we navigate the skies, venturing beyond the shifting sands of Setharak. Its structure is fluid, adjusting its platform depending on the wind currents, allowing vehicles to seamlessly launch or dock.
CALISAR and I are the same, fragile, fading, yet refusing to vanish. I feel its pulse weakening, its veins struggling to hold the last remnants of power. The tendrils that once reached outward, now tightened, bracing for the inevitable. This is more than a structure. It's the last desperate breath of something too vast, too alive to simply disappear. And yet the dust waits, patient as ever, ready to swallow what remains. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. I love like how consistent you've been like from the beginning of the program and how really like your idea is growing into every aspect of the project and like how you really like were thinking about the body and you know like this link between like the bone structure and really like the muscle and how this is like incorporated now into like these like larger structures. And I think that you have been very successful into really bringing us along the story, but at the same time really explaining to us the logics that you're following into building your cityscapes and your amalgamation. So I really appreciate that because you really put in effort like to explain, you know, like the each part of the project and also like the way that you activated the public spaces, right? Like again, like really being thoughtful about like what is very special like to your specific case. Beautiful visuals, beautiful progress, and I think that again like you've laid the ground for a very successful next chapter. And my only thing like that I would like to, you know, like see you continue doing in the next chapters is continue this great communication and teamwork, and you know like continue thinking about the project, continue thinking about like spaces and you know how to activate them, because I think that it brings a lot of value to the project and the storytelling, and it makes it even more immersive. So thank you, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Paulina.
Congratulations, team. It's an amazing project. Really great work. I totally agree with Pavlina that you explained all the logic and everything very, very well. The storytelling was really great. We managed to, in my opinion, to understand the project, the concept, and all about it. You have amazing visuals. And since chapter 1, the project is going really well and it's very coherent. Thank you so much and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi team, it's so awesome to see that you used the feedback from previous chapter and you work with the landscape this time, insanely cool. Because I remember that the last time we were talking that the corpuscle kind of fights the environment, and here it's completely dissolved and evolved and work with environment so well. And I think like your story beautifully evolved again with your creatures. And I'm curious, at the very end of the masters in the video, will we see other amalgamations that already dead, like bones of skeletons everywhere? Or I'm just curious to see how the structure will look like when the energy beam is gone. Will it destroy it? Will it explode it? Will it just die out like a dry leaf? So
yeah,
that's a
I don't know. I've been thinking about it. What I like makes sense in my head is like Self-Arc is like this really big planet, desertic planet, but it's super huge. So there's this energy source that is coming from outside, like the planet. They don't know exactly where it is, and they think that there is only one beam impacting the planet, but maybe there's more beams impacting. Like maybe there's just one, but when the beam impact the atmosphere, it just like create more smaller beams, and these beams are the ones that we're looking right now. So the whole planet is there's this alive thing in there that wants to cling to the beams. So I don't know, what I kind of want to do is like create like this really vast empty desert, like this feeling of being like alone. And I think that's quite interesting with the project. Like that's one of the main ideas that we have at first, like this is the only survivor like of this planet. But after like we're starting getting into the other chapters, like we're trying to make all the things to be more coherent. So now like maybe like they found like another of these massive creatures that functions as cities, but they are like fossilized. Because basically that's what we've been talking about, is like what happened when one of these creatures dies. And so it's some things that we still have to
definitely
think about.
Yeah, looking forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Hi, team. Great work. I'm like super surprised because you guys had a slow start and it feels like almost everything is new to me except the environment. And it's really cool. Like the whole thing feels like a living organism, like the entire amalgamation. I think that really works well. Also, the way you combined it or connected it to the laser beam and integrated to environment, I think that really works well. I think one of my favorite parts is the public space diagram.
Oh.
Yeah, the one before. I think it works so nicely, like with the colors and this glowing, and gives like energy. I see it in there. Also the materials with the translucency you got in there, I think with the sun and the environment is really well balanced, well thought of. Yeah, I think that's really cool. It almost feels like a different state of the same thing at a different point in time, or maybe, I don't know, they're overloaded from the laser beam, I don't know, but it feels like this is something special happening to the whole thing. Yeah, I really like it. I think you made really fast steps or huge steps in the last weeks. Yeah, nice.
Thank you. It felt like that as well.
Yeah.
I think one thing that came to mind, I mean, I'll echo everyone before, that diagram is also, I think, particularly one of my favorites, was, you guys are sort of talking about like the growth or development over time of this amalgamation. And I wish, there was a really cool GIF that you had. And I think it did a really good job of showing like the different parts. but I would have loved to see it maybe tell the story of that growth, right? So instead of like the tentacle appearing, like how out of nothing, out of, you know, a desert-like environment, how do these large structures start to cluster together, right? Like almost showing the logic of those spinal pieces. I think that could really add to the storytelling. Yeah, like this was so great. And I wanted to be like, oh, but what about all the in-betweens, right? Like we have this tendril, but then how does it layer in and you know, kind of get occupied? And so I thought this was super, super cool. I was like, oh, okay, like maybe a next pass would be bringing in some of that resolution and some of that detail to really show how this is evolving, right? Like I think it has through its geometry some of the qualities, but then to think about this amalgamation over time, how do these pieces come together through your logic, right? Like through your systems to build this rich and dynamic and massive structure. So that was, I think, an opportunity that you guys can, you know, keep thinking about as you move forward.
Yeah, actually, it's a really nice idea. I didn't thought about it, but yeah, I think it would be cool just to see how like it start like spreading. Yeah, we'll consider that for maybe next chapters.
I agree.
وعليكم السلام. Class mute.
Hi. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you guys. Amazing presentation. The visuals are so cinematic. And I wouldn't just comment on the final result, but I'd say, like, I know from where you started, you were struggling. Like, as Victor said, everything is so new for him because, you know, you were just like struggling where to get in there, what's the starting point. And then when you knew what to do, you just like killed us all. Like, okay, this, we need to like, you know, shortlist from you guys. Okay, this can be just like, you know, left behind and this can be included. So you were just like growing organically, just like your amalgamation, like everywhere. So that was amazing to see that progress, and the result is just like so stunning and really happy. Like you know, like from the very concept lab, like the image that you showed of your character coming out of that architecture, your final city looks like a living architecture itself in a decay in a very beautiful manner. So huge congratulations on this chapter because it looks really amazing, really strong visuals and really nice storytelling with the diagrams. So congratulations, guys.
Thank you. I think I can say that I hate Rhino.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry. I have to admit.
Thank you, team. Great
Thanks.
presentation. Okay, now let's go to Group B. We have Ricardo and Nandini.
Hi, can you exit the presentation previously? Hi, is my screen sharing?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Nandini and my partner Ricardo we are very excited to take you on a journey into the dark world of magic, forgotten secrets and cosmic horror. The necromancers were powerful beings who harvested living souls into the fuel to fuel their own soul magic. The ambition for more power led them to annihilate their own planet into the relentless quest of souls. In the pursuit of domination, they created the necroarachnites, terrifying creatures designed to conquer other planets through interdimensional travel. However, the necroarachnites' inherent power made them uncontrollable. After eradicating the necromancers, these creatures began traveling between the dimensions. One such journey brought them to the Floating Isles, a planet rich in living souls. Here, the necroarachnite reached their apex form by harvesting the souls of living beings. Amara, necroarachnite, stood out among her kind. While harvesting the souls of life magic creatures, she began to develop consciousness and question her actions. Despite this, her necromancer's instincts kept her focused on her mission. Her journey reflects the internal conflicts between her emerging awareness and her ingrained purpose. The Soul Forge is a living, evolving fortress fueled by harvested souls. Its structure consists of layers like flesh, seed, hatch, membrane, and skeleton, forming an intricate network. The forge expands in different nexus formations, adapting dynamically for power and control. Amara shapes it with necrotic webs and crystallized bone, growing stronger with each captured soul. Amara fuses vegetation with infested organisms, crafting an evolving organic stronghold. A structure blent with necrotic webs, living roots, forming a defensive spires and regenerative chambers. A vast expanse of vegetation infested pods where parasitic flora entwines with necrotic silk. These pods absorb ambient energy, mutating over time into biotic traps. The towering vegetation infested spires reach towards the sky, their roots entwined with the remains of fallen creatures. At the heart of necrotic spire lies the spire of restoration, where healing pod pulses with regenerative energy. This central hub is not only a place of renewal but also a power reservoir, ensuring Amara forces remains in peak condition for the battle. This region houses the soul chamber, where harvested souls are stored and processed. The secondary area of vegetation infestations, where necrotic vines and parasitic fungi expands with the necrotic reach. Here, the incubators nurture embryonic horror with soul energy conductors channels, harvested powers into new horrors. The pulsating chambers glow with eric green light, serving as a birthplace for the Amara's ever expanding legion.
The necrospire begins its birth deep beneath the surface. At the heart of the necrospire, a pulsating core throbs with raw, dark energy. From it, tendrils spread like veins, connecting every chamber, ensuring the fortress grows as a simple, living entity. Within the depths of the necrospire lies the incubator, where embryonic horrors gestate in sac-like cocoons. Ritual chambers surround them, drawing corrupted energy to fuel their rapid evolution and enhance Amara's growing forces. The central core is crafted from crystallized bone and fused necrotic flesh, reinforced with soul-infused webbing. As it expands, it reshapes the necrospire, solidifying its grip on the land while amplifying Amara's power. Dark jagged bones jut from the necrospire sides, growing like an exoskeleton. Organic spires rise like skeletal towers, laced with ensnaring webs and defensive pods. Each tendril hums with latent power, ready to lash out at intruders. Corrupted vines and necrotic flora spreads from the necrospire, consuming the landscape. These living growths serve as both camouflage and conduits, infecting the land and expanding Amara's influence with every creeping tendril. The ritual area is a sanctum of Darkham's communion, where Amara weaves spells and channels necrotic energy. Shadowy glyphs pulsate on the walls, fueled by harvested souls. The air is thick with whispers of the lost, and at the center, an altar, an altar of crystallized bone absorbs their essence, enhancing Amara's power. The necrospire's outer layers are fortified with living defenses organic turrets that lash out with venomous tendrils and bone spikes that impale intruders. Webbed sentinels lurk within, waiting to ensnare those who dare trespass. The structure itself is aware, shifting and reshaping to fortify against threats. A twisted parody of nature, the Necrospire's garden is a fusion of bone and flora. Blackened vines coil around skeletal remains, while luminous flowers feed on residual life force. This corrupted paradise serves as a breeding ground for venomous spores and parasitic growths, spreading Amara's influence further. The walls of the Necrospire are forged from fused bone, each piece an artifact of a conquered soul. These towering formations are more than just barriers. They are conduits of power, pulsing with dark energy to sustain the fortress. Engraved with ancient sigils, they reinforce Amara's control over her domain. Suspended within the Necrospire, clusters of egg-like sacs serve as incubation chamber for Amara's evolving creations. Tendrils siphon energy from the central core, feeding the embryonic horrors within. These grotesque cocoons swell and rupture, birthing new monstrosities to expand Amara's legion. The heart of the Necrospire, the central core, is a pulsating mass of necrotic energy. It regulates the entire structure, sending veins of power through every chamber. Its growth is fueled by harvested souls, and with each expansion, Amara's dominion over the realm strengthens. Throughout the Necrospire, towering spires serve as assembly points where Amara's creation gather. These organic platforms throb with residual energy, shaping new entities from bone, webbing, and corrupted vegetation. Each post acts as a nest, refining creatures before they are released into battle. A grotesque fusion of death and life, the bone flower formations serve both aesthetic and strategic purposes. Twisting skeletal branches cradle luminescent blossoms, whose spores carry necrotic energy. These eerie flowers radiate a sticky glow, marking the spread of Amara's corruption across the land. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for the beautiful presentation and for getting into character. Always appreciate that with the team. Beautiful work. Super happy to see it come together. I know it was a challenge to render a lot of these parts and to combine and to, like again, like being able to fully tell the story. I'm very excited for the next chapter for your team, especially because I think that there are going to be some very interesting systems, especially looking at spiders, how they move. Like you have like such incredible, really like opportunity to go into different spaces with unconventional methods, right? And I think that the storytelling and the logics that you've embedded from the beginning, like really, like leading you in this way. I would love to see more public spaces being activated, like a design around them, not just, like again, talking about like what could potentially be an interaction, but actually, like designing around this space. And again, we're midway through the program, so we'll have more opportunities to do that. But I think that that's an important comment for something, like again, like another layer that we see that there is an opportunity to work through moving forward. Thank you so much, team. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Paulina.
Thank you.
Congratulations, team. It's very beautiful world that you have created. I really enjoyed the storytelling and the whole presentation. Very, very well done. And also very nice visuals. I like them a lot. So thank you so much and looking forward to continue watching your world grow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nandini, maybe you can zoom in into the main image.
Hey guys.
Hi.
I think you also one of the teams that made huge steps in the meantime. Like I'm so surprised to see all the stuff. And I think one of the strengths that I identify is the versatility. It feels like you have so many different spaces when I look into the close-ups. They almost feel like they're not in the same part, but still they fit all together really nice and well. But they're so versatile also in colors and yeah, in the arrangements. So I think that's a really unique part of your whole concept. The only thing that always kicked me out of the story a little bit was when I saw the root, let's say, are a little bit low poly. So you have these some straight sections, and I was like, if they would be perfectly smoothed out, I would be like more engaged. But overall, I really like also the color palette, especially I think that there was this thicket. I think that was a really nice image you captured there with the growth and plants. Yeah, the one below. I think that's a really interesting impression to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Yeah, we wanted like to add vegetation, a lot of vegetation, because I don't know, we are as a team we're like thinking that it's just not the use of the creature, but also like vegetation in order to like enhance the creature abilities. But it was challenging because it's a lot of vegetation.
Yeah, I think
Hello,
what's
everyone.
working.
Sorry.
I'll be fast. No, so like so much progress since I last saw you guys. So congratulations on all the work. I think for me, what's successful about this image that we have now is that the pieces are the different components are integrated into each other, right? Like that there's in a way a sort of a balance between all of the elements because the thresholds are bleeding into one another. And I think I wished I could have seen a little bit more of that in the sort of hero image, where perhaps like I think what we're describing as the root, like maybe that changed in scale and penetrated other structures in a way that brought it all together. Because I do think you have enough range in the parts of your system. And enough, variety in forms, but then sometimes in the way that they're clustered, it's almost like I can visually see the repeats. I think there were some like vertical structures that sort of changed in scale a little bit. There were 4 of them or 3 of them. Yeah, those 3 there on the left. And I sort of wish that they were less isolated, and if some of those roots came in a bit more, some of the pods that you could define neighborhoods, but that they were a little bit more interconnected. But again, like so much progress since the last time that I saw you guys, and I like how you're starting to integrate into the site. Like the roots are sort of growing over and maybe around some of those rocks, but like keep pushing it, right? Like keep trying to add those elements that really make this thing feel of the place and less segregated. But again, I think it's headed in a really great direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I think, amazing project. I think my first comment, my first thought is that, picking a skeleton kind of narrative to expand on your, apologies, my dog in the background, to expand on structure, it kind of forces you guys to go in a linear growth. So maybe I would encourage you to look at organisms that have skeletons that are not maybe linear, or kind of find a way where you don't always have to flow linearly. That would help with the actual settlement itself. And back to the comment that, I wish to see your creature. I think you guys were one of the first teams that started with the behavior, like this fear. And I think if you go back to the behavior of being scary or fear, it relates to us as humans, but actually I find your project very beautiful. So maybe go back 2 steps back and really define some rules around your organism fears. You know, what is fear? What is scary to that creature? And maybe there's a repulsion force and attraction force, between fear and being safe. Like find something, fear, being repulsion, and like safe is the opposite. And that kind of rule with the growth would kind of help you, define, public spaces versus more organic, growth of the settlement, basically the organism. But I feel it's a beautiful story, but you just need to define some rules, basically.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think these comments will really work and take into consideration for the next chapter. I really think that they're very good comments and how you can improve on what you already have, like the fear factor. And also, I think there is also some comments in the chat about the environment. I definitely think that you need to populate that to feel that these things correlate even more, and that the images from the exploration you did in the beginning, the dark and everything in different like spider webs, and a lot more into the environment and how the structure sits. I think these things that you can all work out and add more for the visual for the next chapter, and also that factor for the fear factor for the final trailer of your world. So really consider that. And yeah, I thank you for the hard work in the past few weeks. It was crazy. You have one day off, and we start all over again. But yeah, thank you, team, for the great effort. And
Thank you.
looking forward for the next chapter.
Thank you very much, Tank. I really appreciate your words and comments. You saw our struggle.
I did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. And then we can go to Eva.
Yeah, sure. So let's move back to group A with A4, that's Bala.
Yeah. So my screen is visible.
It's a black screen. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Hello everyone, I'm Bala Murugan from India. I have a background in architecture. So Cryo 28, let's begin. Hi, I'm Kaira. In 2080, after an asteroid hit Earth, exposed an electromagnetic anomaly in Sahara, scientists opened a portal to a parallel universe called Proxima Centauri. I was one of the 15 chosen to cross over it. Is equipped with exoskeleton suit powered by the anomaly. There we discover a towering crystal cities, the reminiscent of an advanced civilization called Ranas. When the portal closed, the crystals surrounding us became our lifeline, powering our suit and sustaining us. But their influence extended beyond survival. They transformed us. We gained enhanced strength, speed, and endurance. Our skin evolved, becoming partially crystalline, offering protections and energy manipulation ability. We even developed telepathic communication, harnessing the planet's unique energy field. The corpuscle follows a leaf-inspired formation with an organic integrated interior. Designed as a prototype, it allows for expansion by incorporating essential spaces required for the habitats, research, and resource management in a sustainable manner. We also recorded the process of expanding the aggregation and ability to control crystal growth, ensuring ensuring the further generations can develop it. Proxima Centauri's energy field fluctuates widely, cycling between abundance and dormancy. During the high energy phase, crystals grow rapidly, illuminating the sky with vibrant auroras. However, when the energy wanes, they shrink and the world fall into stillness. To survive, we learn to store and ratio energy efficiently. We strategically chose our location for expansion, ensuring protection from harmful energy waves. By controlling crystal growth during the scarcity and guiding it around the amalgamation, we secure a stable energy supply for long-term sustainability. To expand the aggregation, we deconstruct the corpuscle structure based on functionality, adaptability, and expandability. We then modify the original parts using rhythm, repetition, and mirror to generate subparts, which further evolve into microclusters and clusters. These elements are then form our aggregation following a defined set of rules. Base Tower. Originally a multifunctional hub, it evolved into an administrative and public center as it grew vertically. Gradually increasing in scale, it is strategically built over a crystal deposit that powers it before we master energy manipulation. The lower tower, a meticulous engineered and stacked intertwined structure, integrates various functions. It serves as a breeding cluster for population growth, an upgrading cluster for technological advancement, and a resource optimization and structural enhancement. Storage clusters strategically placed between function clusters to ensure efficient distributions of essential resources across settlements. Upper tower features residential and recreational space designed with a twisted tower structure. These clusters offer breathtaking views of a stunning crystal landscape while seamlessly integrating living space with nature. The vertical growth of the Omnicore Tower was unplanned, evolved dynamically with time. Its units spiraled upwards, showcasing our ability to control clusters expansions. The Nexus Tower, a marvel of architecture. It rises from a circular base with a twisted cluster resembles a butterfly wing. A floating microcluster suspended by a shimmering crystal defies gravity like an artificial constellation, blending form and function. The tower serves as a cosmic library and interdimensional observation, preserving knowledge from various timelines and alien civilization and parallel reality. Within the towers are Chrono Lab, Memory Archive, Void Observatory for studying cosmic phenomena. Evolutionary Nexus, built on a rectangular base with its twisted form ascends from gracefully from a floating microcluster, orbiting sync with a spiral core. Biomechanical structure continuously adapts to the planetary environment. Within the towers are bioterrenium floors, regeneration pods, hybrid evaluation labs. Ground clusters develop as the population grew. Their need for specialized ground clusters became essential, ensuring efficiency and sustainability. The clusters closest to the Omnicore towers include administrative and government clusters, breeding clusters, and storage cluster. Further clusters decrease in scale, optimizing spatial organization and resource management. Recreational clusters position between functional clusters. These dynamic twisted clusters wind, leisure, relaxations, and connectivity within settlements. Dwelling clusters place near 3 towers for accessibility and community build. Some extends into mountain terrain, offering direct tower access and elevated living. The first tree is a profound symbol of our evolution on this new planet. Grown from an earthborn seed, it thrives within the Proxima Centauri's crystal energy. merging organic life with immerse essence of a new home. Half wood, half crystal. Its unique fusion embodies the harmony between our origin and transformation, representing resilience, adaptation, and future of our existence. The crystal worship, a spiritual practice centered on the belief that crystal holds cosmic energy, wisdom, and healing property. Followers revere them as a sacred conduit of enlightenment, balance, and universal connection. Experimental hub. A hub features a dynamic holographic display of settlement allowing all inhabitants of Proxima Centuria to visualize and contribute to its seamless expansion, ensuring a collaborative and adaptive city growth process. Our journey from Earth to Proxima Centuria was not just a relocation. It was a transformation. We have evolved alongside the planet, integrating its energy into our very being. As we continue to build, expand, and innovate, we carry as a lesson of adaptability, unity, and limitless possibility. This is our new home. This is our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Balaam. I love just seeing the project and how it's evolved. I think you're doing an incredible job, and I know it's not easy again, like as a solo team, right? Like to navigate this, like project. So I just wanted to commend you on that. Really beautiful work, and I think that you are really improving your skills and really being able to handle more and more, like in showcasing this beautiful world as you move forward. So really congratulations on your growth and like on how the project is developing. I think that some of the spaces which you're activating and you're showing again like a lot of the interactions of your prosthesis, like there is an opportunity there like to go in and even add more details and to the storytelling. But other than that, like I think that it's a beautiful project, and I'm really happy to see you really like creating this world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello. I really want to commend you on the, I think your project, I can't help but feel like it's the most architectural, let's say, like the spaces, they're human, and maybe it has to do also with how you are rendering your creature. It is like human-like somehow. But I wonder if there is any intention behind that, or what's like the characteristics of your creature? My first question would be.
So they have a similar anatomy of an human, like more or less similar anatomy of an human, but they doesn't need to consume food in order to gain energies. So they can directly absorb energy from crystal. They get mutated once they enter into this new world, so they can directly absorb energy. So they don't have to eat or depends on other factors to gain energies. At the same time, they have an ability to manipulate crystals. So this entire amalgamation is done with the crystals. So this entire formation is a different type of crystals. So they learn to manipulate the crystals and they develop it as an amalgamation. So it's not just a building, it's just grown. So it's grown from the ground of crystals. And then they have the ability to fly for a very short distance.
And have you looked at like crystal growth as inspiration behind the colony?
Yeah, so I was checking on crystals formations. So it was too detailed, but for my understanding, it was based on atomic formation or lattice formation, I think so. So when I was studying it, it was more or less like an vertical formation. So or a horizontal formation. If I try to resemble those formations in the project, it will be either a vertical or either entirely an horizontal project. So I want emphasis on a particular tower. So I thought of emphasizing it more, like that's why I added more element, like these elements in order to show the resemblance of crystal. So something like these. So they have a main tower and they get grown from these crystals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it kind of works in this rendering, but what I'm trying to like hone down is again, and this is maybe my background in more architectural, thinking. I'm trying to help you like find a unifying, rule like that help you guide you. And for example, I can see that you have public spaces already and you have the energy source, but what you can think of that would guide you with more growth rules, and where is the story, like where is the energy source? Is it like we see it in the rendering, but is it coming from the ground? How does it growing? Does it have its own rule of growth, and how your creature is reacting to it? I think you're just missing some part of the story that would help you then, guide you through the renderings of how those pods are actually, want to grow and react to the like every story had a dilemma, and I think you just need that, dilemma, like what's the struggle here, something like that. I think that would be beautiful, and then will help you, guide you to the next chapter.
Yeah, okay.
Can do without drama.
Yeah. But like maybe I didn't explain properly, but I have a points like I mentioned, like my crystals that I don't in my world, they don't have a climate. So the climate is either they have an abundance of crystal energy or scarcity of crystal energy. So sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have
Yeah.
abundance or scarcity. So they learn to manipulate the energy like crystals, so they can grow the crystals around the amalgamation. So they have a like energy, like limitless energy, and it is a sustainable way for them to grow as well. So that was my point. Like that's what I thought. But I can understand what you are trying to say as an story need to have some, yeah, as they said, drama.
Yeah, I think it will help you, growing it to the next chapter and having some rules around your story, basically.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's beautiful to have a utopian vision that everything is, we have endless, energy. So yeah, abundance of energy, and but maybe, for the sake of, the exercise, and I'm new here, so but what from like the rhythm of seeing in the past projects, if there was a story, a narrative with two opposing forces, it helps the project. That's all I'm saying. Like there's a goal, there's a story, a narrative that would help you. And you can come up with that, all by yourself. Doesn't have to be 100% related to nature, or you can be inspired by crystals and their growth in nature. But I'm just saying, like, have that, story point behind it into why you need to survive on this planet and the crystals, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I will note it down. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Bala. Good job out there. I think for me, the crystals, I think they are new, but I think also they're really interesting elements, and I'm curious what else happens from it, also based on the feedback that you already received. I think I really like your clusters, like individually already, and they come to create something really nice all together. But especially what I think you did well is the public spaces compared to the discussions that we already had with previous groups also, is that just by placing items that are obviously for interaction, it feels like they come to life more. There is a purpose behind it. And the living beings actually have to go there for a reason and not just because of its structure. So I think that's something that you already started doing more deeply than others maybe. And I also like the way you used color to basically combine the whole thing. It's like the whole aggregation has one material applied to it, like it's a gradient, but it puts everything together. I think that's a really interesting way to do things. Yeah, I think I really see a lot of work, and I like what you achieved. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I really take that as a compliment. But if without Michael pushing me for public space, I don't think I will be in this position. Michael was constantly asking me like, where is the public space? Where is this public space? So I really need to thank in this moment for Michael, I think.
Hey Bala, huge congratulations on pulling this complex work all by yourself since you're a solo team. And that clearly just don't holds you back from the work that you've been showing, the complexity of each tower, and you break down and show us the process and the steps and the rules, how you are combining these clusters, which is great. And I totally agree with Victor's comments that the public spaces stand out so much because you have like so many visuals with the processes inside. So it gives us the scalability, the functionality, the occupancy of the space. And it's just not like a visual and the guy is just walking in. It has a purpose there which stands it out. And I love the visuals overall, like the use of the colors, even the background is, blending in so well. So you did a very great push from chapter 2 to 3. It's commendable. And yeah, I just want to congratulate you on that.
Yeah, thanks, Eva. I think I need to share this with you as well. Because as I said to Michael, you were constantly pushing me, like asking. So without pushing me, I don't think I will be in this state. I need to really say that I'm seriously very lethargic guy. So
No, not to
just need to
mention
share
it's all
those
your
things.
efforts being constantly being pushed in. The growth was like consistent. There was like no setbacks. You were always growing, taking the feedbacks in a very constructive way, which clearly shows out there. And yeah, looking forward for the next chapter.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bala. Okay,
Thank
so
you,
let's pass it on to Group B.
Yep. B, we have Heather and Adriana.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, I'm Heather Blakey, a sports product-focused industrial designer.
And I am Adriana Toski, a landscape-focused architect and aspiring engineer.
This is Tempest Keeper. Relentless storms ravage this rugged world, its endless mountain and valleys lashed by hurricane-force winds. Amid the swirling chaos of their storm-battled landscape, Ray and Thorito have become more than protectors. They are symbols of resilience and hope. Ray's streamlined form and protective armor is designed to withstand fierce winds, and Thorito's agile flight and sharp vision have enabled them to forge connections among isolated villages. Their journey of unity led them to Rafaga, a testament to resilience, inspiring disparate communities to face the tempest together.
We are the architects of Rafaga, a settlement born from storm and stone. Using algorithm aggregation of the most successful parts of the Tempest Keeper's early corpuscle shelters, we shape Rafaga's organic structure. Combining computational methods, including geometric transformations, L systems, point attractors, and stochastic and point-based aggregations, which enable the growth of interconnected structures by applying recursive patterns inspired by nature growth. Computational tools helped us refine these patterns, transforming the environment into a dynamic self-organizing system. As a result, the settlement evolves into a living, adaptive organism, responding to the land and elements with precision. The mountains were surveyed far and wide to find a place where a settlement would be most successful, taking into account storm waters that rise and fall, leaving the landscape covered in a thick layer of mud over debris from the storm. Inspired by nature, we sought out a rocky outcrop secure among the high peaks, a perfect perch that sits above the deepest floodwaters at the highest. Here, a spore could take root among a stone pile, which provides drainage and stability.
When the spores find their places, they grow into sponge-like structures to absorb the water. The roots of the growing corpuscle weave through the rocks. Pods grow exponentially to house the inhabitants. Solar collectors and pollinator structures grow to establish the upper levels. Pods and tendrils form protected spaces that shift with the wind, while louvers provide shade and channel airflow to reduce turbulence. More than a static city, Rafaga is a living system shaped by the storm and designed to endure its relentless force. The structures bloom like succulents, their forms dictated by wind and water. They are not built but grown, each part an extension of the landscape, expanding outward in response to the elements. As the settlement expands, solar collectors fuel its growth, while pollination structures release spores to propagate additional settlements.
These elements weave together, adapting dynamically to the shifting winds. The outer walls retract and tighten during hurricanes, redirecting airflow rather than resisting it. Flexible joints absorb the shock of powerful gusts, allowing Rafaga to sway rather than shatter. Though many who call this world home have long lived in solitude, Rafaga offers them the rare chance to come together. Within its growing embrace, they find connection, shelter, and purpose.
In the heart of Rafaga, sheltered by a cliff wall, lies the Petal Pavilion. Here performances and communal gatherings unfold, voices rising in harmony with the ever-present wind. This space serves not only as a stage for storytelling and song, but as a center for education, where inhabitants learn from the Tempest Keepers the unique storm ecology that shapes their existence.
Alongside the amphitheater, cascade pools channel storm runoff, their waters cleansing and renewing. On clear days, Tempest Keepers and residents alike immerse themselves in the pools suited by the gentle flow, their reflection dancing within the shifting sky. Above, a spiral structure crowns Rafaga, offering a place to watch the stars, a rare and treasured sight in a world where clouds so often shroud the heavens. Adjacent to the structure, flower-like spores drift from their cradles, seeking new homes to populate, ensuring that Rafaga's legacy extends beyond its rocky perch.
For those who seek solace in the presence of the storm, decks provide shelter while offering an unparalleled view of the raging sky. Here the howling winds are tempered, the flicker of lightning captured in the pools of collected rain. Bunker pods stand nearby, where Ray finds solace in the safe haven this place provides, hopeful that others too will find refuge and community among the chaos. Here life persists sheltered, yet shaped by the very tempest that defines this world.
Rafaga is not just a place, it's a promise. A seed upon the wind, growing, adapting, and offering the possibility of more. More havens, more communities, more life amid the storm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Thank you so much, like for like all the work, and I think it's like such a beautiful like work that you've created. It brings us like this feeling of a fairy tale. Like everything is so well thought of, so well worked, like out, and I just feel that this consistency and like great teamwork that you've created in your team, it's really resonating like every time that like you're presenting. So you've always like hold yourselves to very high standards. So I just really wanted to commend you on that, like on the consistent, high performance and dedication, to your work. Really beautiful project, and I think that there's going to be some very exciting new steps like coming up with the next chapter. A lot of different, fun ways like to move around the city and, like activate more of the spaces and to really like take, like a holistic view to your creations. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, team. It's a very, very beautiful world. You have really stunning visuals. I really enjoyed the whole presentation. It's really a fairy tale and really, really good one. And I'm looking forward to the next chapters to see how it will continue growing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, team. Great job.
Victor.
You guys, I mean, you always were one of my absolute favorites. Maybe you can zoom out also and show some of your stuff because it's really nice. I like from the beginning, you really had something going and built, and I think you were some of the few people that also really were able to take all the potential from WASP and use it to your own desires and control it in a really nice way. Yeah, I think that's absolutely nice. It's really embedded into the rock. It's really part of it. You really, make this whole thing alive and living. I think one of my favorite shots is the top view. It really, also the materiality and the variety it works so well, and yet it's all natural. Except, I think one thing that struck me is the what's it like the stage, the opera thing, solar something I think you called it. At least from the outside, it feels a little bit artificial compared to all the organic rest of it. But I really like what you did from the inside. I can really relate to the creatures because I also do like concerts, and just by having this little moment, oh, they do experience something similar to what I experience, I can relate much more strongly. Or them just laying there in this petal, I would also like to do that somehow after watching this. So I think overall, I'm really happy with where you took this whole thing. Maybe you can do something about it looks a little bit artificial to me from the outside, but overall, really great work for sure.
Yeah, thank you for encouraging us to keep the floating petals. I think they kept a dynamic element that really helped. And also a shout out to Laura for helping us identify when we should stop and have some restraint. That can be difficult, and that was really helpful. Personally, I'm really happy how the flowers worked with WASP. Sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
No, I was just gonna congratulate you guys. I mean, I think the thought and care into the proposal of thinking about, the moves of the prosthesis and the ways that this amalgamation could serve them or serve different purposes. I always thought that was, just really well thought out, and it's wonderful to see it rendered out. And again, just gaining resolution. But yeah, commend you guys and I guess on finding a stopping point as well.
Thank you, Laura.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, amazing work. It kind of feels like the intricate detail of jewelry. Like it's so beautiful, and that detail is so, micro zoomed in to even the organisms at their, you know, micro level. So I think that's a huge amount of detail. So I commend you on that. And what I really like about this proposal is that you freed yourself from a certain, you know, like just system, but at the same time, it does feel like one, you know, one planet, or somehow like you created a planet. You did not just create an organism. You really have a planet with different kinds of organisms, and they all fit together. So I think it'll be very exciting to see how you're going to introduce to the next level, because I feel you've already touched based on multiple things that we talked about today. So I'm really excited to see, you know, what is next, and maybe think about that carefully so you can really like push it to keep the imagination and keep the detail, but you know, what could you add extra to this organism that will make it even flourish more, basically. And that's what I'm really excited to see.
Thank you. Just from your comments today, it's made me start thinking about examining like the flight pattern of mosquitoes and other insects, and how we can really tap into that kind of nature pattern.
Yeah, and there's a lot of beauty about zooming in. Also, the Petri dish, you know, project. There's a whole world that you don't see. So think of, you know, flying pattern. Think of noise, like vibrations. When you're talking about insects, there's a lot of vibrations. They communicate, you know, with not necessarily seen pattern, especially when you move to the mobility chapter. I think tapping into doing some research on how insects communicate with vibrations, that'll be very exciting. And how those vibrations with, you know, you talked about the wind and the storm influence. So the, you know, the wind and the vibrations, unseen forces can help you form and regulate the seen, basically, elements of your organism, which will be very exciting.
That sounds really nice. It's going to be funny.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Wonderful work. Yeah, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to work with your team. Yeah, I think in the end the presentation was a very good storytelling, but also you explained a lot of the technical parts, like how you made it, what was the decision that you take, and all of the visual story. Like you really immersed all of the audience into your world. So yeah, I think yeah, you did a great job, and I'm looking forward for the next 2 chapters in the final trailer. Thank you, team.
Thank you, Don.
Okay, so let's go on to the last but not the least team of the day. That's A5 Idalina.
Yeah.
Hello. Hey. Okay, let me start. Let me share my screen. I guess someone used presentation mode right now. No? Heather?
Yep, we hear
Okay,
you.
yeah. Okay, right now I
Sorry,
can.
I'm late.
It's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. No worries. It's okay. Okay. Okay, some issues. That's okay. Hello, my name is Alina, and I'm project manager and student at DesignMorphine. And today I would like to take you on a dive into the world of Aquarius. When creating my project, I was inspired by the works of Tim Burton and the beauty of various types of jellyfish and corals. So, welcome travelers. I'm Alpar, a survivor of the last kingdom of Aquarius. I was born with an innate sensitivity to the telepathic energy of our world. My body attuned to the currents of knowledge that flow through the energy fields. My iridescent skin, capable of absorbing algae's nutrition, allowed me to sustain myself through the darkest days of Aquarius. Ours was a world of harmony, woven together by the telepathic resonance of algae-rich seabeds. But catastrophe struck, an asteroid fell, bringing a parasite that spread through our lifeblood, severing our unity and warping our existence. Our once thriving sanctuaries, pulsing with shared consciousness, become fragmented ruins, silent and lifeless. Yet we refuse to vanish into the abyss. Alongside Ruforian, my companion and guide, I harness the algae's magnetism to purge the corruption. The scars of our struggle remain etched into the very foundation of our world, but so does our will. Now we thrive once more, rebuilding from the ruins. We have created a living sanctuary, one attuned to the ocean rhythms, sustaining our telepathic bond and adapting to the ever-changing tides. Let me take you deeper in the architecture of our rebirth. Our world is not merely built, it's grown, an organism rather than a structure. The foundation of our sanctuaries emerge from the natural formations of the ocean floor, evolving through a process of organic transformation. What begins as raw, untouched seabed gradually reshapes itself, merging algae-based biomatter with mineral-rich deposits to form a self-sustaining ecosystem. As each transformation phase unfolds, the once barren landscape gives rise to intricate environments, homes, energy hubs, communal spaces that breathe with the ocean's currents. This process follows the patterns of coral growth and deep sea geological formations, ensuring that every structure exists in harmony with the waters that cradle it. Every element of Aquarius is designed to function as part of a vast, adaptive network, ensuring balance, resilience, and sustainability. Our sanctuaries are composed of interconnected clusters, each fulfilling a unique role in sustaining Aquarius. These structures are not rigid, they shift, expand, and evolve, responding dynamically to the needs of our civilization. Diplomatic chambers, the heart of governance, where we convene the guide of our future. The semi-permeable walls amplify telepathic resonance, strengthening collective decision-making. Biosanctum, a self-sustained hub that cultivates algae, preserves biodiversity, and replenished energy, ensuring the continued vitality of our sanctuary. Cultural arenas, spaces. I'm so sorry. Cultural arenas, spaces where history is relived through telepathic storytelling, preserving our identity and artistic expression across generations. The Coral Bastion, a protective stronghold integrating coral growth with biometric shields, safeguarding our sanctuaries while serving as a docking hub for travelers. Pet habitats, self-sustaining microecosystem designed to support aquatic companions. These organically structured models mimic natural coral formations, fostering biodiversity while seamlessly integrating into our sanctuaries. Public spaces, the heart of our community, where we gather to share knowledge, stories, and visions through the telepathic resonance. More than meeting places, these hubs act as living libraries where history is not merely recorded but experienced. Their translucent dome-like structures amplify shared consciousness, preserving the memory of our people within their currents. As we journey through Aquarius, our sanctuaries reveal more than structure. They embody our resilience, unity, and vision. Every chamber, passage, and pulse of energy sustains not just survival, but identity. We are more than survivors. We are creators of a new world. Our sanctuaries stand as living testaments of Aquarius, carrying the memory of the past and the hope of the future. The ocean speaks and we listen. The current shifts and we adapt. This is our home, our future. Welcome to the enigma of Aquarius.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Alina. Thank you. Beautiful project. I really love how everything is coming together. I think like you really are creating something like very interesting and unique. I think that what we could definitely, look into like in new chapters and in general, like to incorporate more like into your visuals would be again like the prosthesis. We saw it a little bit like in some of the visuals, but I feel that it's missing a lot like from like a lot of the images and that again like gives skill understanding like to like what exactly is that like it's activating like each of the spaces. But I think that like again there was like massive like growth through this project and the environments and all the work that you've done again like as a solo team. So I really like I commend you on that. And again, coming from background of non-design, right? Like before that, like this is just like an incredible growth that you have achieved, and I'm really happy to see like how you're enjoying the process and you're learning as well, and you're really like getting like so much better with each chapter.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to do my best. Thank you so much.
You're really rocking it. Thank you.
Hello. I'm an Aquarius too, so this is this has been, hit home. Yeah, coming especially like from a background not in design, I wouldn't even like imagine. There's so much detail, so much thought behind the different, like even looking at this visual, different kind of organisms, and I think also this project, like there's a coherency from the very beginning till the end, so between the organism and its between the creature and its inhabitant, and then how it's growing. And I'm looking forward like to see how it will expand in the next chapter. But I think just an idea for the whole team that came to my mind while we're following along your story. Maybe it would be nice if you can have one or two words only on each major like transition in the story on the drawing, because when you were talking about going through the story, you were introducing which was very thoughtful, so like I can follow along. But I was also like in my mind I was like, I wish there was like one word that would help me, so I listened to you because the imagery is so intricate and detailed. You wonder, like I lose you for a few words and then I'm back, because we're really enjoying the design, and the imagery is so provocative that you guys are showing. It's hard like not to you know um go into the details. So that would really help us as coming from outside if there was like two words maximum of three words in each transitional slide. Like this is the organism, this is now we're looking at the micro, I don't know, but something that would help us. Yeah, and then that's it. Really enjoyed all the presentations, amazing work, very inspiring, and looking forward to see where it goes. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your words. Yeah, and thank you for your comments regarding text. Yeah, I'll definitely will use it. Will use this advice. Thank you.
Hello, Alina.
Hello.
You always are so positive. That's one of the greatest parts. Like, keep it up. Stay like that. I love it. Really nice. I think you also did like a huge improvement. You did like huge steps from the last time I saw the work. I really like how things come together. It really feels like a underwater world. I do think we had some discussions about the background, what we do with the background in your composition, and I think in some images it works really well with the image you chose, but for some I think it doesn't work that well. Sometimes it feels like it's even more clear and clean compared to aggregation itself, so maybe there's some opportunity there. But I think my favorite part is the public spaces, if you maybe can zoom in on one of the ones where it's cut open, and there you see even more intricacies and details, and it's really like layered back to back, and it fades into the background. Like that's what I expect from underwater world. It's like that feels like real. Okay, now I'm looking in something underwater, and it's layered and leveled, and so much detail still in there. I think that's definitely my cherry on top of this project here.
Thank you, got it. Thank you. Okay.
Congratulations, Selena. It's really, really nice work. And I totally agree with Pavlina that you showed amazing progress since the beginning of the Masters, since chapter 1. So I really enjoyed your project, the storytelling, the presentation, everything. So congratulations and keep going. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will. I promise.
Elena, what a great presentation and project. I really congratulate you from the first chapters till now. Like all of the structure feels very architectural. I think like that, like it shows that you have that background. I really enjoyed also the images. Everything is cohesive. The way that you like this show how everything is underwater, and all of the public spaces. So I congratulate you on the chapter. Great. And also the diagrams, everything was very clearly defined and easily to follow.
Thank you so
really
much.
Good job. Yeah. I'm very happy like how you've grown as the chapter goes.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Lena. Beautiful work. So mesmerizing underwater world that you're showing us. And I also want to commend your enthusiasm on your environment because I remember both with Victor and Laura, we were just, juggling with so many environments. You were just coming with something more, something more. And it was so hard to say, like, okay, we are done with that. Let's move on to, but there was so much of thought behind that. And you really did show it so well. So really also want to congratulate you on that, and definitely 1% team pulling off like such a delicate kind of an architecture that you're showing, very fluidic and underwater and very true to your language of your processes. So it's a huge improvement and huge progress from chapter 2 to now. And there's something with you, working with you is so smooth. You always take the feedbacks so positively, and even like until today you were progressing something as a feedback which we had like during the rehearsals. So that is a really plus point to work with you, and thank you for the patience, and thank you for taking all the feedbacks in such a good manner.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eva. Thank you for your help as well. As usual, you help me a lot every day, almost every day.
No problem. Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, the DesignMorphine team is great, aren't they? I mean, I just, want to congratulate you. I mean, I really don't have much to add. I think everyone has given you, really great feedback. And I think for me, it's super impressive, to just know your background. And even, I only had a week with you, but to see you pull off all the work that you did in that week, I think there's a beautiful, like for me, there's a beautiful relationship between the amalgamation and the site here. And you were very thoughtful about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you, everyone. This was actually our last presentation for the day, where we have concluded chapter 3, which is a great milestone, halfway through the program, more than halfway. So super excited for the next chapter, chapter 4. It's much more fun, I promise. You see, you've learned so much more at this point. So I think it's just you know, like the pain is going away and there is just more and more like enthusiasm like towards like going more like into the design endeavors, because like now you've set up a lot of the rendering, you've set up a lot of like the creation really like of the environment. I know that like, you know, working with generative structures and computational design, it's not an easy task, but you know, going through multiple chapters and really challenging yourselves, I think that like you're really in a great space to take on the next challenge. So I think that it's going to be, you know, like a very good transition. But I really wanted to thank the educational team as well, like and Victor and Laura for really taking on like chapter 3, which is a great, you know, like a learning curve for the students and for being there for them. As well as always like Eva and Tunk, you know, like always like cheering up everyone, and the most importantly, like the students themselves, right? Like for not giving up and really creating these like insane structures and learning so fast. Again, like it's been what, like 3-4 months that you're in the program and you're able to pull all this work together. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us today in this review, like our guests, for all the incredible comments and for, you know, the ideas that you're contributing. It's a great point, again, like to hear all those, and thank you for sharing them, because again, the students can incorporate all these ideas into moving forward to the next chapters. So looking forward to having you again as a part of our crits. It's really enjoyable to have you. Thank you for your time, and enjoy your weekend, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Congratulations to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.